Yes, 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 yes. It's that time of year again. It's Christmas, it's the Grand National, it's the Oscars all rolled into one.
Are the Olympics on again?
No.
Oh, World Cup?
No.
Chelsea Flower Show?
What? No, it's Eurovision time.
Eurovision?
Uh-huh.
Oh, the crap singing competition.
That's the one.
The crap singing competition we always lose.
Yeah, well, that's why we're here, Greg. Tonight, from this state-of-the-art studio that we've nicked from Newsnight, I'm going to show you how we're going to win back the greatest, longest-running, the most-watched song competition in the universe ever.
What, X Factor?
No, Eurovision, Greg. Did you read the script? Oh. Dick. The Eurovision Song Contest. On our screen since 1956, it's the most watched show on Earth with hundreds of millions of viewers all over Europe, with over 50 countries competing annually for the Eurovision crown. The UK has an illustrious past in the competition, winning 5 times.
Sandy Shaw. United Kingdom.
United
Kingdom.
And coming runners-up 15 times. Now things are different. To put it politely, we're not very good. No thanks to acts like these. But now it's time to turn it around as we show you how to win Eurovision. Eurovision. Who can resist the charms of Europe's most successful project after the Euro? And who couldn't want old Blighty, these sceptred isles, the United Kingdom, to once again lift the title back to where it rightfully belongs?
I don't.
Really?
No. The music's painful, the dancing is stupid, the outfits are embarrassing. I don't understand it. I mean, what is San Marino? I thought it was a pizza.
That's a bit racist. But I do see your point. It can be a bit confusing. The voting, the bad rap music, the mind-numbing list of countries you can't even spell.
I can spell them.
Azerbaijan? Exactly. Luckily, we've assembled a unique mix of talking heads to clear things up. Have a look at this lot.
Does it start with an E?
How would you describe Eurovision?
Proper, sit down, you cannot miss it event.
Eurovision, to me, is how Al Qaeda imagines the West.
Eurovision is massive. It's the Olympics of song.
Let's say camp.
Crazy.
Cheese.
Oh, definitely.
That's the word.
Bonkers.
Fabulous.
Fun.
Is freak show one word or 2 words?
If you've ever been on an all-inclusive holiday, when the staff get up and do a show at the end, it's like that, but with slightly more expensive outfits.
Cheesy and a bit bonkers it may be, but Eurovision is the greatest show on Earth, and the UK used to be the headline act.
I grew up with Eurovision.
I've loved Eurovision since I was knee-high.
The UK's kind of heyday in Eurovision was when we sent our biggest pop stars.
My earliest memories of Eurovision was probably Bucks Fizz.
I can remember the skirt pulling moment, which I'm sure sort of every heterosexual bloke can.
My earliest memory of Eurovision, I think, was Sonia.
We were the kings of Eurovision back in the day.
We sent Cliff Richard, we sent Lulu, we sent, the best of the best.
Over its history, Britain has been very successful, but we just can't remember when Britain was successful because we're so bad at it now.
Yes, it feels like a long time since Katrina and the Waves brought it home for Blighty, all the way back in 1997.
So we used to be good at Eurovision.
Oh, yeah.
But now everyone hates us. So let's just give up. I mean, I've got this great idea for Britain's Got Talent.
Greg, no, you don't get it, right? Did Churchill ever think about giving up? He didn't see the Germans go, oh, they look a bit scary, did he? The Virgin Queen didn't shirk when faced with the Spanish Armada. Did Nelson turn back at the Battle of Waterloo? No, they didn't. Yes, we've been getting the world's greatest song competition wrong, but tonight we're going to look at every little detail that goes into making a winning song. See?
Every detail. I mean, How long is that going to take? Because I'm bored and I've got that thing to go to.
Greg, you don't have a thing, Greg.
Well, I've got to go then.
Yeah, well, we've got 2-for-1 vouchers at Pizza A Go-Go. That's where we're going and you know it.
Don't tell everyone that.
Anyway, the only thing you've got to worry about is how we're going to win Eurovision. Watch this.
Ultimately, the song is key.
A fabulous song that can stand alone.
You just need something that's catchy, I think, and that people are going to remember.
You've got to sit through 26 countries worth of songs, so something's got to stand out from it.
A catchy song and something visual and memorable.
That's the key. It's just going back to basics, really. And then get somebody cool to sing it. It doesn't have to be a superstar.
You've got to connect with millions of people to win Eurovision, so it's got to be something special.
Which brings us to our first tip in our How to Win Eurovision guide. Pick the right style of music. And our first classic Eurovision music style is Schlager.
What? What's Schlager?
Schlager. I don't know.
Schlager. Is that a Swedish lager?
Schlager, call it what you will. Scandinavian pop.
That sound, though, whatever we call it, seems to pop up a lot.
Yeah, Schlager. Some call it the definitive sound of Eurovision. In a nutshell, it's the classic upbeat Europop sound that in the past has gained a string of Eurotastic victories. 1985's Bobby Socks from Norway. And 1999's Charlotte Nilsson from Sweden. Two feel-good love songs straight from the Scandinavian Schlager factory. But they both owe a debt to the master brewers of premium Schlager, ABBA.
I mean, I think that, you know, the ABBA vibe was absolutely fantastic.
We might be seeing a little bit more of this one later. Next up, it's the ballad.
My personal preference of winning Eurovision songs are the ballads.
A ballad, preferably by a dumpy bird singing at the top of her voice, all on her own on the stage. That goes down very well.
My earliest recollection of a really lovely ballad was Nonna l'età, which was an Italian one, and I must have been a very young girl. And it was beautiful.
Ballads have done well over the years in Eurovision. Throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s, they were winning the contest.
Sometimes a ballad can be just the most delicious, refreshing, gorgeous thing.
The incredibly heartfelt lyrics, overdone performance, and pretty simple songs.
As recently as 2007, Serbia took first place with Molitva. It gained a whopping 268 points, proving that the ballad could still be a winning hand at Eurovision.
If you just sing a beautiful song, you can't really fault it, you know? And I think people like that.
Our next Eurovision musical style is where Eastern mystery meets Western pop history in a pair of shiny underpants.
Ethnopop is that kind of Middle Eastern sound. It's probably the most prominent sound that you'll hear in Eurovision.
Yes, since the breakup of the Baltics and the Balkans, Ethnopop has taken over at Eurovision. Some entries are a little more ethnic than others.
I think it helps when the music represents the country's nationalities. You know, like Russia in 2012 had depressed grannies baking burnt biscuits.
Yes, this Russian bake-off showcased the cookery skills of these elderly Soviet sweethearts.
Straight away, I was like, that's Russia! 10 points.
Hope their cooking is better than their singing.
Each act is representing their country. And I think it's really important to have some stuff in there that is representative of your country.
The Ethnopop sound provided a string of victories in the noughties, and we decided to get in on the act in 2005. Unsurprisingly, it didn't win.
However, it is our first entry into our How to Win Eurovision Hall of Shame.
You know, Greg, we have to put our worst losers in a Hall of Shame because, as someone once said, the winner takes it all, the losers standing small, and beside the victory, that's her destiny.
Wow. What was that, Confucius?
Nope.
Plato?
Mm-mm. ABBA.
Yes, our first Hall of Shame entry is Javine's Eastern-flavoured Touch My Fire.
Bit of a sort of Turkish feel, was it?
Had a bit of a Turkish lilt.
Kind of an Eastern, like, you know, do-do-do-do-do-do.
And the beat was good. And that's where it ends.
A bit cruel, but where did it all begin? Well, after 2 years on stage in The Lion King and having narrowly missed out on a place in Girls Aloud, Javine Hilton's manager, that's not him by the way, suggested she should try out for Eurovision.
He said, oh, Jordan's going up for it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, Javine was competing in Britain against Jordan, who was pregnant in a sort of plastic pink jumpsuit.
Surprisingly for once, it's not Jordan's famous assets that everyone remembers from that night, but Javine's.
All I think about is the...
Not the boob.
The boob, but that was in the selection thing, but you just think about a boob falling out, don't you?
Yes, eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed Javine's brief wardrobe malfunction.
Maybe I was just so excited and jigging so much that I think it was my left boob slipped out of the dress.
Actually, Javine, it was your right one. Not that I was looking. Get out of my room, Mum.
Javine's boob falling out, was that when she was against Jordan? Well, you can't compete with Mohammed and the Mountain, can you?
Let's stop talking about that now, I think.
OK, wardrobe malfunction aside, the lyrics were also deemed a little bit racy.
Touch my fire.
Touch my fire, do you
Can
think
you feel the heat?
Touch my what?
It's not a lady part.
I wouldn't have thought so.
How she could sing that with a straight face? Like, I can't even say it with a straight... Touch my fire.
It's a metaphor of, you know, getting down and dirty, I think.
Well, I'm glad we sorted that out. But the song bore a striking resemblance to the entry from Greece that year. All ethno-pop, a woman dressed in gold, fire...
There was a moment when I heard Helen's song and I thought, damn, she's good.
In fact, the main difference was that Greece, well, won, and we came second last. And that was enough to make Javine our first entry into our Eurovision Hall of Shame.
You see, this is what I'm talking about. Poor old Javine, she tried everything. She looked the part, her song had a European sound, she even managed a wardrobe malfunction and still came 22nd. It is over. We're just a small irrelevant island and all Eurovision does is remind us of that fact that no one likes us.
Hey, negative vibe merchant. OK, we've had a few disappointing moments, but think about it, this country has produced the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Bowie, Coldplay, Adele.
Rick Waller.
That's nice, Greg. Let's take a look at the top 5 musical styles to avoid.
Worst style of music for Eurovision Song Contest? Is this a trick question? Because they're all bad, right?
Interesting point. But in at 5, it's reggae, and it comes from crazy nature lover Ricky Saucer. Looking at him, you wouldn't think he's Finland's answer to Shabba Ranks, would you?
Well, I think I'd probably steer clear of reggae.
Reggae? Finland? Really?
Any white people doing reggae just sounds ridiculous. It sounds like they're taking a piss.
Ricky Saucer with Finnish reggae, which is pretty much what he did. Yeah.
Ricky skanked his way to 16th place that year, and a month later, reggae legend Bob Marley passed away. Now, I'm not saying they're connected, but if he saw this, it may have pushed him over the edge. At 4, it's Latin yodeling from Austria.
So there's a group called Global Kreiner who tried to combine that kind of Spanishy Latino sound with yodeling. Why would that ever be a good idea?
A yodel sounds like a cry for help. I think that's the only time I'd like a man who can yodel is if I'm abandoned on some moorland and we need to let a helicopter know where we are. Then I'd like a man who can yodel. But anywhere else, get away from me.
And the audience agreed. This one failed to make it past the semis. At 3, it's another blend you'd probably only find at Eurovision. Swedish Calypso.
Swedish Calypso. My ears are bleeding.
Yes, it's another example of the Scandinavian obsession with the sounds of the Caribbean, as the Swedes try to sex up the 1987 contest in Brussels with a dash of West Indian sunshine.
It's the wrong song, it's the wrong sound, everything is wrong.
And to think, they gave us ABBA. Unsurprisingly, this Calypso catastrophe limped home in 12th place. At number 2 in our countdown of musical styles to avoid at Eurovision, it's a cappella.
2006 with Latvia, which was kind of, oh, this sounds nice at the start, and then one of them went completely out of tune. It's a bit strange.
The singing wasn't up to scratch, but the Latvians had a bizarre plan B for winning the jury's vote.
I remember they were building this stupid robot thing at the side of the stage, and then they brought the robot round, and then one of the guys decided to just do the moonwalk for some reason, and then it all became a bit of a mishmash, really. Didn't know what it wanted to be.
You've got to give them marks for that. A cappella. They'll probably come last.
But when it comes to genres to avoid at Eurovision, there can be only one.
This is not suitable for the Eurovision Song Contest.
Words cannot express how both equally amazing and distressing seeing something like that on television is.
But what kind of evil could this be? Cue the music!
Eurovision and rap don't really go together.
I'm not really keen on rap for Eurovision, to be honest.
I love it if someone decides to do a rap. But equally, you know in your heart that they are going nowhere.
Yeah, rap entries generally go nowhere in Eurovision, but we're still tortured annually by the sounds of European hip-hop.
Someone rapping in a non-American accent always sounds ridiculous. You want them to move towards American. You don't want to hear some guy sounding like Borat rapping. Is that racist? Hopefully not.
I think Eurovision is more of a family audience, and I think rap is kind of known as being a bit kind of gangstery and, you know, a bit too hardcore for Eurovision, possibly.
Yeah, maybe.
The thing about rap songs in Eurovision is probably the rappers that are rapping.
I need to talk to you.
They're all crap.
And one rap act from 2012 certainly made a name for themselves.
Be warned, it's the interestingly named song from an interestingly named group.
In the semi-finals of Eurovision in 2012, there was a band.
So it's Voki Mitdein Popo.
And you not. It was called
Track Shittaz for Austria.
The Track Shitters.
Track Shitters?
Track Shittaz.
Track Shitters.
Track Shitters. Track Shitters?
Track Shitters.
Yeah.
Track Shittaz. Track Shittaz's track was Taz.
But their unusual name wasn't the only thing that raised a few eyebrows.
I think a lot of people did mishear the title of the song, which is Voki Mitdein Popo.
What was their song? Something about...
I'm not going to say it, it's rude, yeah.
Poo-poo?
Something about, yeah.
Me in them poo-poo holes.
Me them poo-poo. I wonder what that song meant.
It's lucky that it's in foreign, because then I don't understand the thing they've got to say.
What if it was their family name? What if the lead singer was called Helmut Trackshit? Helmut Trackshitter. Table for Mrs. Trackshitter.
More a case of taxi for the track shitters, as they failed to make it past the semis. But the UK can proudly claim to have put the C in rap with our next entry into the Eurovision Hall of Shame. Teenage Life was a socially conscious rap, featuring a chorus of schoolgirls and the lyrical talents of shy retiring rapper Daz Sampson.
I am the people's champion.
People's champion and all that.
Daz had previously found his fame fronting pop dance group Bus Stop. Not your everyday Eurovision performer, Daz was certainly a departure from Sir Cliff.
If I win this, I will demand that the BBC let me defend my crown. I'd also demand a knighthood from HRH. And that's not arrogance, it's just belief.
Daz Sampson, what an unlikely Eurovision entrant.
Yeah. It's time for a change. It's time to go out there and, do something a little bit different.
He also had an unshakable belief in his songwriting ability.
I'm not saying that my songs are as good as McCartney's. Time will only tell. I got a lot of stick for this in the press because, perish the thought. People thought that I was arrogant. There's absolutely no way we're finishing 17th this year. Bollocks. Right, we're finishing top 5. Now that's a statement from DAZ, man of the people. We will finish top 5 in Eurovision.
That was Daz Sampson's problem, that he was confident going in.
Once he got to Athens, DAZ prepared vigorously for the performance of his life by acting like he was on a package holiday.
That's still drunk, in my opinion.
For the first time in 10 years, as I told you before, we've got a chance of winning this. Do you know when you're in Eurovision, it's almost like a bubble? Seriously, it's almost like I was Robbie Williams for 2 weeks. 2 more Sambucas, mate, please. Sorry, Paddy.
Once his big moment arrived, Daz gave everything he had in a typically high-energy performance.
Yeah, come on! What did you learn?
But he may have been doomed to failure.
When you heard it on the radio, you kind of thought, oh, that's rather good. It was just very creepy in performance. It made you feel uncomfortable.
Daz's stage show involved a very young-looking bunch of, well, what appeared to be schoolgirls.
The way we set up on the Eurovision stage is the grown man with the school kids.
Well, they weren't schoolgirls, they were grown.
Yeah,
they were grown.
That was a little bit controversial.
Yeah.
When you saw it on the TV, you thought, oh, he's got little girls with him. You see them afterwards.
They were dwarfs.
No, they weren't. They were really sexy.
Maybe Daz needed to work harder on his own image.
All I remember about Daz's performance is his yellow jacket. That's all that I remember and stands out in my head.
Maybe I should have been dressed more in a school teachery type of, the square, just to go along with the gimmick of it. And, me being dressed like some drug dealer from Salford didn't really go down that well. Well, at the end of my performance, you'll notice that I shouted. Thank you, vote for the music! And that was to genuinely ask Europe to vote for the music. Clearly they didn't, because I didn't do that well.
Yeah, the voting didn't go well for Daz. And by the last nail-biting round of voting, Daz was a mere 267 points off the lead winners, Lordi. But at least Daz was as good as his word.
There's absolutely no way we're finishing 17th this year. Bollocks.
Yeah, they came in 19th.
Bollocks.
But Daz remains adamant that rap could still work.
A lot of people ask me, was rap the way to go? Clearly it wasn't at that time, but look at the charts around the world. It's led by hip-hop. I'm not saying that I was a credible hip-hop artist, but the charts around the world are led by hip-hop. The fact is, and I'll admit it, Europe just wasn't ready for Daz Sampson at the time.
Well, Daz, Europe may not have been ready for you, but for your truly dreadful attempt at a rap entry, you've won yourself a spot in our Eurovision Hall of Shame.
Wow. Daz Sampson, that was pretty special.
Yep.
Does it get any worse than that?
Yeah. At Eurovision, you get one chance, so the first impression, really, really important.
Take a look at Plastic Bertrand, right? He ran on. Beautiful. A little bit minty, nice plum-coloured jacket.
Running on's always a weird way to start a song, I think. It kind of seems like you've missed your cue, like you're on the loo or something. When someone runs on, I always check their foot for a bit of toilet roll as a giveaway.
In 1990, Spain's entry Azúcar Moreno kicked off their performance in style when they seemed to totally miss their cue.
Gosh, this could be a long evening, ladies and gentlemen.
These temperamental Spaniards then stomped off, leaving the rest of the band twiddling their guitar strings. Boing!
I quite like the guitarist, because he was like, come on, everybody knows that we're faking now. Do we still continue? Okay. I don't even know how to play the guitar.
OK, so Azúcar Moreno managed to come back from that dodgy start and somehow scraped a top 5 finish. But others haven't been so lucky. Gemini. So here's my guide to making that all-important first impression. Creating a bit of anticipation is always good. Just don't over-egg it. Why not get the love children of Russell Brand as your backing singers? But then don't spoil the call by coming on in a golf cart. It's always good to make a surprise appearance. Just not out of tune and covered in dirty knickers. You could start with a bit of Eastern flute and follow it up with some of these. Nice pearls. Do kick off with a provocative dance routine, but make sure you don't take your choreography from your drunk aunt at a wedding. Try not to pick a song that looks like you've forgotten your lyrics. And last, but not least, try and look cool. But pay attention to timing.
Greg, look, are you feeling something for Eurovision by now?
Not really. I mean, we're talking about a singing competition in which Jedward were allowed to perform twice.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with Jedward. They've got brilliant hair. And they're not the only duo to have consistently performed out of tune in front of millions of people on telly.
No?
No. And rest assured, at least no Eurovision actors performed off-key and won.
Well, that's a relief. Well, never.
Well, one or two may ever slip through the net, but none of them are as bad as this lot.
Oh, no.
Oh, oh, oh.
All performers in Eurovision have to sing live, and for some, that's a real challenge.
I think the actual quality of the singing is quite low down on the list of things that people care about.
I always quite like it when they're out of tune. I think kind of singing in tune in Eurovision feels like you've put too much effort in. It seems a bit needy.
One of the most out-of-tune performances ever was Poland in 1995. A song so out of tune, it could only be heard by dogs and certain aquatic mammals.
That sound hurts my feelings.
Yeah, it's very strange because there is a lot of artists that are out of tune. You know, when you're sitting there going, oh my goodness. 2009 semi-final. I remember sitting there and the lead singer, the guy, he was so bad. He was trying to do this falsetto and it was so out of whack. Your ears were just piercing. It was excruciating.
I'm always surprised when they do the high-pitched stuff and it's terrible, though, because you imagine someone at a point would have heard the song in rehearsal and said, sorry, Steve, don't take this the wrong way, but you do sound like you've been punching the balls. Is that what you're going for?
And who could forget the tuneless and tatty performance of faux lesbians Tattoo in 2003?
The lesbian gimmick did distract from the fact that they couldn't sing.
I think Tattoo are probably the worst. It just sounds like tinnitus. It's horrible. I also like the fact they seem to be dressed like they're on their way to the shops. Like they put no effort in A, learning the song or dressing accordingly. Poor show.
I didn't really like the story behind it, them pretending that there was lesbians. I just don't see the point in that. I mean, why pretend when it's not real?
OK, back to the tonally challenged. There was Luxembourg's 84 entrant, Sophie. Here's Portugal's 2005 entry, who later got breast implants after misunderstanding reviews that she seemed a little flat. And last, but by no means least, it's Israel's 2000 entry, Ping Pong, with the totally tuneless Be Happy. Whilst the song asked the audience to be happy, it was pretty hard considering what they were being forced to listen to.
Horrific. People have now turned the TV off because of that. Apologies.
Don't switch off just yet, because we're about to tell you a story of one of the UK's most out-of-tune performances so bad it landed them a spot in our Eurovision Hall of Shame.
Someone said that, why didn't you just stop?
I honestly thought this was the end of Eurovision.
My underwear had gone missing as well.
3 years we've given our energy to get to this point.
3 years preparing.
We were just, 19.
19 years on Earth.
We've been singing for years.
Been singing for years. Gemini!
Ah, yes. The year was 2003 when Chris and Gemma, a pair of unknown 19-year-olds from Liverpool, entered Eurovision under the name Gemini. Hopes were high, as the previous year the UK's Jessica Garlick had earned a respectable 3rd place. And they even got a good luck message from a man who knows a thing or two about music.
Go Gemini and cry baby!
But it wasn't enough to stop Gemini from slumping to an embarrassing defeat.
They weren't singing in key, were they?
The fact of the matter is, they weren't good enough on the neat, as they say.
They've gone down in history, haven't they?
It's kind of awful to watch. It's cringe. Super cringe.
We didn't do the gimmick thing. We just thought that we had a strong song. We thought that we could deliver a strong vocal.
I knew it wasn't right when the song started, but when you're on stage and in front of however many million people, we were just trying to pull it back as well as we could.
You've got so much adrenaline running through your system, and you seem to forget a lot of what's actually happened.
OK, so they were a little out of tune, but why did they go down in UK Eurovision history?
I think I remember they didn't get one person that voted for him.
Ah, yes. They were the first UK act to achieve, if you can use that word, the dreaded nil point.
Well, what can we say, you know what I mean? We didn't deserve to come last, we didn't deserve nil point. Sorry guys, but we give it our best shot. And the singles out on Monday.
I love how British Gemini were as well. They were like, we've let the whole country down, but we tried our best, so buy our single. That's so British.
I like to imagine they had like a van full of copies out back. They're in the car park as people filed out going, I know we were the worst, but 2 for 1.
They probably had every excuse in the book to try and say it was this and that and it wasn't their fault, but they just wasn't singing in key.
Bruised and humbled by a Eurovision trouncing, Gemini at least managed to take their defeat with good grace.
All the performance wasn't bad, it was mainly just that beginning bit, and then we were fighting against it then. When we've looked at it back, loads of them were crap. The only country in the whole of the competition who didn't have in-ear monitors. Tattoo were completely out of tune right the way through, not just in the start. The track they sent out was wrong, so we were doomed.
At the end of the day, it sounded crap.
That's more like it.
It's not like they killed anyone. They just lost Eurovision for us.
Yes, and for this totally tuneless tragedy of a Eurovision entry, Gemini take our 3rd spot in the Eurovision Hall of Shame. Let's not be too harsh on Gemini. In its history, Eurovision has had over 35 finalists who have struck out and walked home empty-handed.
I think if you're going to lose Eurovision, you should lose properly.
In style.
There's something rather wonderful about it getting nil point, isn't there?
Yeah.
We didn't quite get there, did we?
No, we didn't.
If you're going to enter Eurovision and you're not going to win, you've got to go balls to the wall. Let's get 0, guys. Let's nail this. Let's all get all bagels, because people are going to remember that. They're going to see those guys. They were so rubbish.
Despite finishing at the bottom 3 times during the noughties, the UK has only once suffered the indignity of receiving nil point.
Sorry.
So it could be worse, which brings us to the most prolifically pointless performing nations. In at number 5, we have Finland, receiving blanks in 63, 65 and a literal bomb out by Kojo in 82.
It's a lottery, and some nights people will be in the mood for a song about bombing yourself, which sounds like something else, doesn't it?
Joining its Scandinavian friends, it's Switzerland at number 4, relegated to nil in 64, 67 and in 1998 with a song that ended up pointless with a singer who looked topless.
I think the reason she got nil point is apparently she's revealing the wrong half. I mean, Buck Fizz got it right. This is fine. No.
Breaking into the top 3 is Austria, failing to score in 62, 88, and who could forget that mulleted vision in purple Thomas Vorsner from 1991. I wish I could.
Of course they deserve to get no points. It was a man wearing parachute pants off of MC Hammer and a mullet. Good mullet, though.
Creeping in at number 2 is Spain, lacking any scores in 62, 65, and in 1983 with an entry entitled Where's My Boat?
Neil Poir, because A, she's dressed like a magic eye, and B, she's singing about the fact she's lost her boat.
People have no sympathy for somebody going, where's my boat? You own a boat. You're in good shape.
And the most prolifically pointless nation with a shameful 4 nil points is Norway!
Norway!
Yes way. In 1963, 1981 and 1997. But Norway's most celebrated nil points came from the legendary Jan Tegan. His entry from 1978, Mil et mil, translation bag of shite, really was a work of unparalleled genius. Thank you, Norway, for being worse than us in every conceivable way, apart from Javine's boob.
So, you know, Britain shouldn't feel too bad. There's always Norway.
OK, so what have we learnt so far in our How to Win Eurovision guide? Steer clear of rap, reggae and yodelling, make a good first impression, make sure you sing in tune, or you may end up in our Hall of Shame. But there's still a lot to learn, so let's crack on.
OK, so maybe there is some musical credibility to this song contest. I mean, you have to at least be in tune, but beyond that, it's all utter rubbish.
No, Greg, come on, there are more positive things you can say about it than that. The outfits, that awkward banter in between the acts.
OK, well, there is one thing I could say, and that's at the end of the contest, there's an honest and free vote, unhindered by prejudice, politics, or national boundaries. Well, the whole thing is a shining example of democracy. It's togetherness, it's great.
Well, it's half democratic.
What?
It's a sort of 50-50 thing.
What do you mean? Great democracies like Russia and Azerbaijan at the heart of the contest. You're telling me it's not a real vote?
Hey, man, what is reality,
If we want to win again, I think we need other countries to like us, so don't invade Iraq again.
I think you can look at Eurovision and our history in Eurovision and you kind of see the political history of Europe.
The evil spectre of block voting. The evil spectre of block voting has put a filthy stain on modern-day Euro relations that no amount of bad singing and shiny outfits can help remove. Neighbouring countries in Central and Eastern Europe created a voting cartel, leaving the UK out of the picture. Oh, I'm getting angry just thinking about it. There's the old enemies, the Vikings.
12 points to our dear, dear neighbours. Norway.
Norway, 12 points.
The Warsaw Pact.
You can guess who I'm talking
Oh,
about.
yes, we can.
Ruslana, Ukraine, 12 points.
Greece and Cyprus.
No, you're not going to do
And
it.
finally, Cyprus gives 12 points to Greece.
And of course, the new twin evil empires of the Baltics
12 points go to Latvia.
and the Balkans.
12 points to Serbia.
You don't know whether to laugh or cry, do you?
But maybe they've got the right idea.
Yeah, do what Yugoslavia did and just chop the country up into nice small pieces. It must be weird as a big country like Britain watching them get democracy and think that's great, but that's an extra opponent for Eurovision. It's gonna kick us in the dick when it comes to Eurovision, that is.
Ah, those pesky Europeans, with their sandals, smelly cheese and slightly more attractive women. I can see through their game.
Yeah, spot on, Greg. But we do have a secret weapon in our quest for Eurovision glory.
Oh, what's that then?
Well, I'm not being funny, but at the end of the day, we speak proper English.
Is it though?
When I was 10, I had to sing Jingle Bells in Spanish in front of my entire school, which is din don dan, vamos a Belém, a decido niño que se rece todo bien, hey. And then I was bullied for years afterwards, quite rightly so. My point is, sing in your own language.
Yes, we know some foreign languages sound the same forwards as they do backwards. Fortunately for us Brits, singing in English means you're more likely to win Eurovision. 43% of all winners have been sung in English, so surely we have an unfair advantage. But language has always been a contentious issue at Eurovision, and there have been numerous rule changes, forcing acts to sing in their own native tongue. Here's Chelsea Healy to give us the facts.
You would have thought that everyone would have sung in English, wouldn't you? Or, mind you, no, I don't know. Just so everyone else understands, because isn't English the first language? Everywhere or not?
Thanks for clearing that up, Chelsea. Here's our actual history of Eurovision language rule changes. In the early years, it was free and easy. Sing in whatever language you like, man, Eurovision.
Ciao, bambina.
In 1966, a restriction was put in place, meaning countries had to sing in their native language, opening our ears to some beautiful sounds like these.
Ja, stop. Ja, stop. Min kleine går. Jeg vet om en gammel mann. En som har levt länge.
There was also controversy that year when the Mexican entry, La Cucaracha, was ruined by a drunken gatecrasher. In 1973, the restriction was lifted and multilingual madness ensued. The Belgians showed a flair for linguistics using 3 languages.
Oh, baby, baby, I love you. Yo te quiero. Oui, mon amour.
The Finnish were less adventurous with this number.
That's how it goes.
But as always, those crazy Norwegians took it to the limit with this mix of clever wordplay and facial hair, which featured no fewer than 13 languages.
When we pair, don't you get it's just a game. It's a game. It's a game of girl and boyness.
I've never competed in a game of girl and boyness, but I'm open to new experiences. But in 1976, disaster struck. The English language suffered a beating in Holland it would never recover from, and once more, facial hair played a role. First up, the Austrians. Nice whiskers. Then the Finnish ruined it for everyone with this ode to a bit of bump and grind performed by Hippo of Love, Freddie and his friends.
Big lad indeed.
I used to love watching beautiful girls come by in my time. You have done like the boys do, but now finally you are mine.
Freddie and Friends from Finland. It's very catchy.
It made up for its strange use of English language with a fairly easy-to-follow dance routine.
Make my hips go hippity bump, 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 bump.
That people were doing it at parties.
Make my hips go hippity pump pump. Something I imagine Freddie's never done.
I think the moves really added to the chorus because it really said what they were talking about. I mean, it's like a perfect illustration.
They're a weird-looking group. They look like a cult. I imagine after this, they all just kind of held hands and took a tablet.
Hippity Bump Bump signalled the end of English language entries at Eurovision for 22 dark years. Except for us, of course. If we so much as speak foreign, we get an upset tummy. Although some of the foreign language entries during that period managed to get round the ban. Hold on, what was that?
Annuals in the air, annuals. You love it?
Anus in the air. What are you singing?
They're not singing anus.
Really?
No, they're singing annual Annual is Icelandic.
It's a song about arses.
No, that's Iceland for you. At least they were using real words. Annual is a real word, as opposed to some acts which seem to make it up as they go along.
For the next part of our How to Win Eurovision language guide, let's see if you can guess what this lot are on about. Was it something about wearing a man bag? Worked it out yet? Nah, didn't think so. Because it's complete poppycock.
Treble singing Amam Danda. It's not Dutch, it's double Dutch. It's a language they invented themselves.
That's right, in a novel, if slightly bizarre turn, some countries have decided to forsake traditional European languages and just wing it. Take the Belgians. In 2003, their entire song was made up and featured a series of hand gestures, which only left people even more confused. Using sign language has been picked up by plenty of others. Latvia's entry in 2005, The War Is Not Over, used hand signals for the deaf. I can think of a slightly more appropriate hand signal for these guys. One other tactic for overcoming the language barrier is just to sing less. Norway's 1995 entry, Nocturne, featured hardly any words at all, and it won.
Nocturne's a bizarre song. It's like she puts you on hold midway through. She says a bit and then goes, I'll be back with you in 2 minutes, but no, listen to this. Actually, I was watching that Eurovision. During the violin solo, she popped round my house to use the loo and still had enough time to get back and finish the song.
Using only 24 words, Nocturne smashed it with 148 points. That's a healthy 6 points per word.
So most winning acts have sung in English. Ergo, we should have the advantage, right?
No one knows what ergo means, Greg, but I do know that those crafty Europeans are an inventive lot. Do you know they make up their own cutesy toddler language to try and win? They sing things like dop dippy a dippy doppy dop dip dip dippity top dop doppy dip dip.
Actually, that is quite good. Whose was that?
No, I made that one up. I mean, that's exactly my point.
So, the language barrier has proved an obstacle to winning the competition for our European neighbours. But, resourceful as ever, they've come up with a way of getting round it. Making stuff up.
If I had to sing in a language that wasn't mine, when I got to a chorus, I'd be like, do you know what? Screw these lessons. La 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 la.
Spain showed this simple device could work with their imaginatively titled 1968 entry, La La La. They romped to victory in '68, and the floodgates opened. Sing along if you know the words.
It's like if you watched a child put together a song for the first time based on somebody telling them about music.
Just like a kid not listening to his parents. La 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 la. That's all you got to do.
Not content with a simple la 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 anymore, our European neighbours have become increasingly resourceful in their quest for Eurovision glory. There's been tippy-dees, shooby-doos, whatever this is. Then there's the manamanas, which naturally lead to tabadums.
It's quite evident from looking at the lyrics that lyrics are secondary, isn't it, really?
Gobbledygook has been turned to gold at Eurovision with a couple of winners. Holland in 1975.
The title in the best Eurovision tradition is Ding-a-Ding-a-Dong.
Ding-a-dong every hour, when you pick a flower, even when your lover is gone, gone, gone.
Ding-a-dong every hour when you pick a flower. Clearly they're making this up as they go along. This person has not written a song.
I mean, you can win with a song going diggy-loo, diggy-lay, and people have.
Yes, Swedish trio Herries bagged a winner in 1984 with this load of nonsense. Apparently it was about their shiny golden boots.
Yeah, everybody loves the golden boot. People love boots. And gold? Now we're talking. My language, which is not English.
Diggy Lou, Diggy Lay. You're proud to be associated with this rubbish, are you? I need something that has a bit more gravitas, a bit more highbrow, you know?
OK. Look, why don't we just pause our How to Win a Eurovision guide for a moment? Because we're going to get hot and sweaty in our Eurovision sauna as we pay a visit to Poetry...
Corners.
Sauna. Poetry
Cornet.
Poetry Corner.
Corner.
Spoil it now.
I went everywhere for you. I even did my hair for you.
I put you and do it like blue when I wiped just the other day.
That is as bad as it gets. That's embarrassing.
Where have you been? Why are you late?
You smell like lipstick again.
You smell like lipstick again. It's all in the detail. It's not just that you smell like lipstick, it's that you smell like it again.
Oh, don't call me funny, bunny. I'll blow your money.
I'll get you to my bed ass feeling for you.
Oh, I'll make it easy, honey. I'll take your money, yummy. I've got my bitches standing up next to me. Gangster.
And when I feel that I thirst for you,
Dab my lips with your morning dew.
when I feel that I thirst for you, I dab my lips with your morning dew. Is that about pre...
Well, that's enough of Poetry Corner. Moving on. Katrina and the Waves, our last victory at Eurovision, and it came just 2 days after Tony Blair walked into number 10, all the way back in 1997. So what do we need to make us number one again?
You need something more to win.
You need someone that is an absolute showstopper.
Just aim straight for the top.
Blow them out of the water. You could send Take That.
I just want you back for good.
Morrissey in 2007 apparently said that he was interested in doing Eurovision.
Can you imagine? I can't. I'd pay to watch that.
If you could get someone like One Direction to do Eurovision, it would be perfect.
One Direction, definitely. I love that.
You could send One Direction, and believe me, they may never come back. They'd be so adored. And that might be the whole point of it.
Robbie Williams?
Robbie Williams was made for Eurovision. I feel like he just cover Robbie Williams in sequins.
Yeah.
Dizzy Rascal should go up for Eurovision.
I think probably Adele would steal it.
Maybe you need Cliff Richard back.
Well, Cliff lives in the Bahamas these days, so I don't think you'd be tempted back to some chilly megadome in the Baltics for any money.
Been there, done that.
Maybe we need to speak to the Eurovision HR department about hiring some bona fide stars. Katrina and the Waves, Cliff, Lulu and Sandy Shaw were all drafted in after finding success in the pop charts. And in 2012, the UK called upon one of the biggest names in showbiz. 20 letters to be precise. Yes, Engelbert Humperdinck, alias The Hump, is the next unlucky entrant into our Hall of Shame.
Do the hum, go!
What's his name? Humble, what's his name? He sold absolutely millions and millions and millions of records. Engelbert. Now that's a tongue twister.
Your mum probably threw her knickers at him back in '72, and it seems that time hasn't dulled Engelbert's desire to hump.
Have you still got an eye for the ladies?
Of course.
In fact, Engelbert has had the same 5 groupies following him round for over 50 years.
Do you like Engelbert Humperdinck?
Yes, in 2012, this singing legend was finally released into the Eurovision Song Contest at the ripe old age of 76.
Engelbert, he is old. There's no getting around that.
He's the same age as my dad. And I just don't think he needed that pressure, to be honest.
And his selection to represent the UK at Eurovision came as a surprise to many.
I was in a hotel room drying my hair and I could see the television in the mirror and Engelbert's face came on, and I thought, oh, Engelbert Humperdinck's dead. I didn't dream it was because he was in the Eurovision.
When it came to performing, Engelbert was first up to the mark, which may not have helped him.
So graceful and pure, a smile bathed in light.
The song I thought was a really lovely song. I think in the end, what absolutely wrecked him was going first. That was just a disaster.
Coming first, there was nothing else to compare it to. If that had come maybe after 5 or 6 bouncy numbers, it would have really stood out.
Engelbert didn't get anyone's knickers on stage that night, and the hump fell flat, coming second last. But as always, his performance ended in fireworks.
They looked at Engelbert without fireworks, and then they decided what he needed was a Catherine wheel.
Hats off to you, Engelbert. Well done, sir. He should have been in the New Year's honours list or something to cheer him up after that. Poor Engelbert.
He didn't suit being involved in Eurovision, I just don't think.
Well, that definitely seems to be the case. And for failing to spark any life into the UK's great Eurovision push, Engelbert Humperdinck grabs the 4th slot in our Eurovision Hall of Shame.
Greg. What? I've got even more tips and more clips for you to see.
OK, you're going to show me them anyway, so roll VT.
Greg, can you not at least try to emotionally engage with this project?
Roll VT.
That's sarcastic, so...
Our next tip involves a vital decision in creating any Eurovision winner, picking the right song theme.
Song themes in the Eurovision seem to be just kind of anything goes. Potatoes, petrol, whatever it happens to be. Just basically think of a subject you shouldn't sing about, and that'll be it.
There's no subject matter that you can't do with Eurovision.
You could write a song about life on the high seas. If you've ever wondered why Latvian songs at Eurovision are so rubbish, the truth is, they just are. Kill me now. Or you could go all Twilight on us with a vampire theme.
Vampires in Helsinki, come alive!
This one was less arpats and more twats. None of this stuff ever wins. But what are the tried and tested things to sing about at Eurovision?
Well, successful Eurovision topics tend to be ones that transcend culture, language and nationality.
You've got to appeal to the rest of Europe, and their musical tastes are different than ours.
Very, very different. Very different.
But there's certainly one theme that appeals to everyone. No, it's not Rumpy Pumpy.
When Britain were successful, it was always about love, I think.
Love. Usually love. Heartbreak.
Love. Nailed it. That's all they want to hear.
A whopping 55% of all Eurovision winners affectionately embrace the topic of love. But if it's not going to be love, there is another well-trodden path to Eurovision glory. Singing about world peace.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Sing about peace if that's what you want. Peace and love.
We've tried everything else to get world peace. Maybe Eurovision is the thing that's always been there right under our nose.
Eurovision is famous for having women in leather and bearskins and lyrics about saving the world.
I think the songs about world peace are probably just a sly ploy to get loads of votes, because who doesn't want world peace?
Songs about world peace have done well in Eurovision. If you look at the 1982 winner from Germany, it was called A Little Peace.
The fact that people still sing about it, it's like, yeah, we get it. Who doesn't want world peace?
Liberated voices crying freedom.
Who could argue with world peace? We'll get some votes. Most people are peaceful, whereas we'd all like to see some violent songs.
Give a little love back to the world.
If there's ever been a song that can instill violent thoughts, it's Emma's Peace Offering from the UK in 1990.
Never before has a song about peace in the world made me want to punch somebody so much.
This song had an environmental theme. Well, it certainly helped a few people recycle their dinner.
Give a
Her main lyric was "Give a little love back to the world." Now, I'm not saying that didn't work, but 4 months after this was released, the Gulf War started. Now, I'm not saying we should blame Emma for the Gulf War, but she's got blood on her hands. Yeah, blood on her hands.
Not necessarily a year to be proud of.
Emma failed to make it into the top 5 that year. The fighting continued in the oil fields of Kuwait, and we still didn't learn our lesson. The following year in Rome, it was EastEnders Sam Womack's turn to try and change the world.
I am alone, I think. I rather like the Sam Janus song, but it is corny.
Yes, the lyrics of this one were almost literally corny.
The world is hungry just through being born, and every day is a compromise for a grain of corn.
Rhyming born with corn. I like the fact someone's gone, corn's a food, born, that's life. They fit together. I guess it's better. What are their other options?
It's a clear rhyme she's missing out with there. That's porn, people.
Eurovision, it's like a microcosm of the political history of Europe. Everything that's happened in the past, it's reflected in the songs and the voting of Eurovision. So follow that through. It stands to reason. If we can change attitudes and get peace in the Eurovision, then one day, maybe just one day, we could achieve world peace.
Boring. Right, what's next?
Our next tip involves the reason we don't have world peace. It's politics, man.
In 1990, all of the songs were about the reunification of Europe, pretty much. There must have been 14 or 15 songs, all about, we're free to live, or no more walls, the future is ours. They were all political songs to some extent.
The fall of the Berlin Wall aside, politics and Eurovision have never really mixed. Only one song with a political theme has ever won at Eurovision, Italy's 1990 anthem about the reunification of Europe, NCM. That doesn't mean that countries haven't tried to make the odd political statement. Let's take a look at a few of them in our top 5 Eurovision political statements. Number 5. In 1974, Portuguese revolutionary and Keep Fit fanatic Paulo de Carvalho burst onto the Eurovision stage armed with a 64-piece orchestra and an appetite for destruction. De Carvalho's Eurovision entry, After the Goodbye, was to be the signal for the start of the Portuguese Revolution.
It's the birth of the national military junta of salvation.
But it wasn't quite the rousing call to arms people were hoping for.
Silêncio, amor, em tristeza e fim.
You always think like punk or like Slipknot's got this kind of screw the government, but it's something really nice about a government being overthrown whilst listening to some sort of like cocktail bar jazz. You can just imagine like the leaders like leaving Parliament whilst clicking their fingers and having a martini. Go, we're not in power anymore, but I'm in a relaxed mood.
Paulo failed to rouse the juries into action, and he only picked up 3 points. Number 4. In 2010, Lithuania tried a clever bit of anti-Western social commentary and put it to a disco beat.
Yes, sir, we are legal, we are not as legal as you. No, sir, we're not equal, no, we're both from the EU. We build your home, we wash your dishes, your hands all squeaky clean. Someday you'll come to realize it's the music your
This is kind of Eastern European attitude against those dreadful Westerners. Look, you wanted to clean your homes, your clothes and everything. Now you've got to vote for us because we've nailed you.
This one didn't wash with the audience though, and they failed to make it past the semi-final. Yeah.
Fight the powers that be.
Number 3 in our countdown of Eurovision political statements, it's Vladimir Putin. He's keen on the Eurovision.
Is it important to Russia to host the Eurovision Song Contest?
No. But not everyone in Eurovision is so keen on him. Yes, this anti-Russian protest from Georgia was about as subtle as, well, a bullet to the head.
They argued that it wasn't political. They said that it was just a dance song, but it came the year after the war with Russia. We don't want a Putin, we don't want Putin.
I see what they did there. Put in Putin.
It even included lyrics about blowing the Russian president's brain out. Funky. You could say it was an update of Boom Bang a Bang.
It was actually disqualified. Eurovision said no. They actually invited them to change the lyrics of the song. They refused and they were asked to withdraw.
It's a shame it never made the competition, really, because it could have gone all the way.
Say, give me 60, yeah. Give me 60, yeah. Say, give me 60, yeah.
Yeah, maybe not.
The fight, the powers that be.
At number 2, Ukrainian drag queen Verka Serduchka was a little bit more subtle, but not much.
This is the favourite.
His hidden message came under the guise of a playful dance track with a ridiculously catchy hook.
Yeah, and he just ran about the stage, didn't he? Ran about the stage with his mother.
And it just kind of went on like that, didn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
But underneath, this tinfoil transvestite had a message to the motherland.
He reckoned, right, that he was singing about the Mongolian word for milk, but we all know that he was just telling Russia to kind of sod off.
Despite being favourite to win that year, Verka got pipped to the top spot by Serbia. Should have left the politics out, mate. Our number 1 political statement at Eurovision gets extra points for presentation and downright catchiness.
Norway's song in 1980 was a political song. It was a song about a plan to build a hydroelectric power plant in Lapland.
But halfway through the song, things took a bizarre turn. Was it a stage invasion? Was it a bad dream? Or was it just a lack of rehearsal?
The first guy, he'd put in a lot of work, he's singing political messages and stuff, and the second guy, I reckon, had completely forgotten what he was supposed to do. Like, woke up and was like, oh, I've got no lyrics, so... Lolly, lolly, lolly. And the other guy must have been, what are you doing, mate? This is, I've got to join in. I have no choice but to join in to save face. You're supposed to be singing about a nuclear reactor. You sound like you've been exposed to radiation, you moron.
As it was, they scored a miserly 15 points and the power station got built anyway. Oh well, lolly lo, as they say in Norway.
Hey, lo, lolly, lolly, hey, lo, lo, lo. You know what? Credit where credit's due. That is one hell of a catchy tune. And it's annoying. I'm sad that it didn't win.
Well, to win Eurovision, you do need to have all the right ingredients.
Hey, lo, lolly,
yeah, that's right. Greg. You need the song, yes. You need the performer. The performance. And even then, just have a look at this.
Yes, our next Hall of Shame is the story of the not-so-triumphant return of chart-topping, heart-breaking panty poppers, Blue. Blue were formed in 2000 by none other than Simon Cowell, who saw their mix of vocal harmony and cheeky-chappy charm had the potential to rocket as high as the waistband on his trousers. They split in 2005, but reformed especially to lead a UK boy band assault on Eurovision in 2011. They seemed the perfect choice with their good looks, great voices and loyal European-wide fan base.
You know, they were known around Europe, they had lots of hits out there.
They were certainly confident of their chances.
Let's go out there, let's do something different that we've never thought we could do.
We do a really good performance and we make our country proud.
And it seems they weren't the only ones.
You've got the talents, you've got the looks, and you've got the whole nation behind you.
Good luck. Bring it home.
All the very best. I can. You can.
We know you can. We know you will.
No pressure there then. And as the contest approached, the buzz around Blue's entry grew.
I think they were thinking they'd be in the top 5, but the betting odds were reflecting that as well. Blue were one of the favourites in 2011.
They slashed our odds. We were 25-1, now it's 6-1.
By the night of the contest, everyone in Britain was convinced that at last we had a winner.
Good luck, Blue.
was completely Eurovision-tastic, you know.
It's a very positive song. It was very theatrical, I thought, the performance.
And there's this big high note in the middle, and I was thinking, is Lee going to be able to get that on the night? And bless him, he did it.
Wow! Well done, Blue!
But in the end, for Blue, it was less a case of I can and more, nah, you can't. They eventually finished in 11th place, 121 points behind winners, Azerbaijan. They even suffered the indignity of finishing below the nation's least favourite pop duo.
That must have been a bit hard for them, I suppose, for Jedward to do better than them.
It was like seeing a footballer past its best. It was just hard to watch.
Oh, show business.
So after sending the perfect entrant with no results, where does that leave us?
What more can we do? Really, what more can we do?
If anyone was going to do really well, I think Blue would have done well. So it doesn't really give, you know, us much hope for the future.
So, for failing to breathe hope into the UK's quest to reclaim our Eurovision crown, Blue become the 5th band to be hung up in our Eurovision Wall of Shame. Maybe they should have paid a bit more attention to what they were wearing.
In Eurovision, you definitely need to dress for success, so you've got to get the outfit absolutely right.
You pick out something that you would definitely never wear. Then you want to make it a little bit tighter or baggier. Either is good. So tight that you can make out what religion the guy is, or so baggy that it appears to flow in the wind.
When you put the words Eurovision and fashion together, it kind of, what comes out of my brain is like pizza-coloured vomit.
Brix's Guide to Pizza-Coloured Vomit, aka Eurovision fashion.
I would say the styling was really good with Bucks Fizz, for instance. Because of those big colours and the way that it was sort of blocked out, it really, really worked. That was a fashion work, but there were so many disasters, horrendous disasters in Eurovision.
Avoid tank tops.
It's a shocker. They've got these these vests, knitted vests on, like, you know, homespun kind of knitted vests, and like big wide collar white shirt. They were like bar mitzvah Beatles.
Do not wear shoulder pads.
That girl is so pretty. She doesn't need massive Michael Jackson epaulets to take your attention away. I don't know how she can even play the guitar, but credit to her for playing the guitar. Let's just talk about the cello player for a minute. Where the hell did she get him from off the local council estate? What's that all about? The cello player made no effort.
Don't dress like you're on a hen do.
What the hell was that? It looked like a really bad hen night. And the other thing is, they're wearing these bizarre, like, belts that almost look like they're there to hold their sanitary napkins on. I mean, that was so bad. That was an absolute fashion thumbs down. That was like, that's a crime.
But Brix's top Eurovision fashion tip is...
don't wear a tracksuit.
A tracksuit. That's not a costume. That's what you wear before you get into costume.
Poor Lindsay. I think they didn't have any kind of budget for her.
No stylist.
And looked like she had no hair and makeup
No.
done at all. It was really weird. Very un-Eurovision.
Lindsay coming out in a tracksuit, I say respect for her for that. You've got to have some guts to do something like that.
The only way you can dress down from that is a onesie.
Time now for a quick recap of what we've learnt so far in our How to Win Eurovision guide. Be wary of the evil spectre of block voting.
12 points to Serbia.
Don't know whether to laugh or cry, do you?
Don't pay attention to voting odds.
Flashed our odds. We were 25 to 1, now it's 6 to 1.
Avoid singing about pirates and vampires.
Vampires in Helsinki, come alive!
And if you're going to make a political statement, make it subtle.
We don't want to put in.
You ready with your outfit, Ross?
That's right. Next up, gimmicks.
What?
It's all about having a gimmick. Even the greats had a gimmick. The Beatles had the mop-top hairstyle. Michael Jackson had the glove. Nicki Minaj has got a massive arse.
Sorry, why are you not wearing an outfit?
Craig, just do your lines, hot dog boy. Go on.
The music Eurovision is so awful, you need to have something to distract you from it, right?
You said it.
Dick.
That's right, Eurovision is so much more than just a singing contest these days. And the fact is, you'll be left behind if you haven't got something to distract your audience from your song. The more random and pointless, the better.
Robots, stilt walkers, fire, puppets. These sound like dreams that I've had.
If gimmicks weren't in Eurovision, it wouldn't be Eurovision.
If you don't have one, then you're just the boy without a Game Boy.
Don't be alarmed, but it's a man with a pussy.
I remember the French guys, and he had a cat on his shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
A cat on a man's shoulder. In France, that would be intriguing. But really, it's just a nonsense distraction from what is a rubbish song.
Next up, you could try a smoke machine.
Who doesn't like a smoke machine? It's like stars in their eyes every time you come out overly dramatic.
I will leave this place.
The judge of his song's terrible, but, you know, he was covered in smoke. That's exciting. He looked kind of mystical.
Singing a dull ballad? Chuck on an ice skater.
You think you've seen everything at the Eurovision, don't you? You think it can't get any more absurd. And then somebody wheels out a man playing a fiddle while another fella does a triple salcho. I don't know how I know what a triple salcho is, but I think it's because of the Eurovision.
He couldn't interpret the music because he was on a postage stamp of an ice rink. It was bizarre, but I remember it, so hey.
I know what's missing. Gigantic office stationery.
My favourite gimmick is the Greek entrant who came out dancing on a huge stapler because it's just so dull. It's such a what you can choose anything. And he's thought, I would like something which you use to attach A4 together, please.
But when it comes to gimmicks, the UK can lay claim to being the originators.
Making Your Mind Up, Bucks Fizz. Great Eurovision classic. People still dance to that at weddings.
What a gimmick. It was fantastic.
Isn't it incredible that that blew people's minds at the time?
One of the first wardrobe malfunctions ever, beating Janet Jackson by 7,000 years.
Bucks Fizz made ripping someone else's clothes off popular. I mean, you do that on a Eurovision stage, everyone cheers. You do it in a high street in Birmingham, I'm facing 4 to 6 years.
They coined the gimmick, pull the dress off, and there's a slightly smaller dress underneath, which I never really get the point of. It's not really that big a surprise. I think it'd be much better if the real surprise had been pull the dress off and then just to reveal that Cheryl Baker with a dick. The judges would have been like, oh, well, I've not seen that. Well, yeah, all right, yeah, have all the points. Just can we not be watching this for the next few minutes? We get the gist.
When it comes to adding to your performance, there may be a few less extreme measures. You could try busting a move and throwing a few crazy shapes.
There was a time at Eurovision when you weren't even allowed to dance. You had to stand still on the spot and perform your song. What would they have thought if they had fast-forwarded to now?
I think a dance routine is important because often you don't know what they're singing about. It kind of makes it clear what the emotion is. Like if someone's doing a backflip, they're probably not singing about the death of their mother, unless that's how she died.
It does make you worry about countries when you see their dancing on Eurovision.
But it has to be something that's really catchy and maybe everyone else can do.
If you have a bad song, it's very easy to hand gesture your way out of it.
Look back at Brotherhood of Man, and they were going for it. There was a different time, but it was very important to those acts, you know. And people still remember the Brotherhood of Man, the little dance, don't they, you know?
Yeah, it done a bit of that, and it done a bit of bum shake, which everyone can do, you know, but it looks really good, and it's something easy.
Yep, it's easy to learn, but it bears a striking resemblance to another well-known dance routine.
Save all your kisses for me, bam bam baby, bam bam. There's similarities, right?
Now, Greg, you like a laugh.
Certainly do, Russ. I love it.
Well, you're going to love this next section because it's all about the great novelty songs.
Oh, what, all of them?
No, not all of them. Greg, this is our chance to experience the very best of European comedy.
OK, well, I guess it's safe to say there'll be no Germans in this section, then.
I think that's a bit unfair. Germans have done loads of funny stuff.
Like what?
Eurovision isn't all politics, ballads and transsexual divas. It's also a gut-busting, corset-popping hoot. There's nothing the Eurovision fans love more than a comedy song to lighten proceedings. But do we stand a chance of winning Eurovision with a novelty song?
I don't think we should try a comedy entry, no.
We're a country that's meant to have the best sense of humour in the world.
So let's go with a little bit of fun.
Eurovision novelty songs. Should we or shouldn't we? Well, at least they've given us a few laughs, right? See if this lot get you rolling in the aisles as we look back at the finest moments in Eurovision comedy history in the How to Win Eurovision Novelty Song Top 5. At 5, it's 2008 entry Leto Svet. Performed by Estonian comedy trio Crazy Radio, it tells the story of...
Leto Svet? What's it all about? I haven't got a clue.
Isn't it something about vegetables?
Apparently they're singing about potatoes and like onions and all this sort of stuff. I imagine that's what Jamie Oliver's nightmares look like.
The thing I like about Leto Svet is that it sounds like a sort of 80s cop car chase, you know, with slap bass, but the lyrics are written by someone that's really stoned.
How did it go again now? That was good.
It wasn't just a catchy chorus, there were exploding accordions, dancing girls, oh, and sex with pianos. Not exactly groundbreaking comedy, but the Estonians love this stuff apparently. The judges didn't see the funny side though, and it didn't even make it past the semis. At number 4, Ireland performed the last rites on their illustrious Eurovision past with the help of a comedy rubber turkey.
Oh, Europe, where, oh, where did it all go wrong?
The song that year quoted, Europe, where did it all go wrong? And it's really a comment on Ireland's place in Eurovision in the modern era.
There is word that Ireland really didn't want to win, and Dustin made sure of that.
Dustin the Turkey is a popular celebrity in Ireland, but it seems this comedy bird just didn't take flight.
It's just a terrible mistake to put something in that only works in your own country, because you're the only people who can't vote for it.
By the end, the Serbian audience failed to gobble up Dustin's zany brand of xenophobic humour and made their feelings known.
And don't forget the Swiss. Cheers.
There's booing.
There is booing. I couldn't understand a word, to be honest.
It proves that if you go too far down the parody line, Europe will nip you on the nose.
At number 3, it's Israel's turn to get it wrong.
The Israeli entry in 1987, Lazy Bums, was a bit of a controversial choice.
It gave this laugh-a-minute duo the chance to showcase the best in Israeli comedy. I'd hate to see the worst.
Well, Israel 87, Lazy Bums, it's a classic example of how comedy doesn't really transfer out of your own country to anyone else's.
The Bum song tells the story of the everyday routine of a lazy slob who likes nothing more than sitting on his arse all day. But the Israeli government failed to see the joke.
So when Lazy Bums turned up for Israel and looked a bit like the Blues Brothers, apparently some minister was going to resign if they were allowed to perform it. Do you not have more pressing issues in Israel, no?
The rest of Europe, I think, watched that pretty baffled as to what was going on.
And if you're not baffled by that one, try number 2.
Alf Poyer, he came on stage with a set of stuffed animals and did a very alternative piece.
Alfie looks like the sort of guy who would come to your school to give you a talk about drugs, but you'd think, Alfie, you're definitely on drugs.
But Alf's hip-thrusting celebration of the animal kingdom wasn't to everyone's taste.
He couldn't sing, basically. He wasn't that much of a singer, but he tried to bring the fun element into it. And he done a bit of stupid dancing.
A good illustration of why Europeans aren't funny. Is a man with the hips and the dancing. That's so funny. Is irreverent of some kind.
Despite finishing a respectable 6th, Alf was far from satisfied.
Number 6, me?
No, I am disappointed.
And he dropped the F-bomb live on BBC Three.
I hate this contest. The Eurovision Song Contest.
Apologies on behalf of the BBC for that language. This is a live programme.
Yes.
Officially the most rock and roll moment in Eurovision. By a long shot. But our number one comedy entry is an Eastern European exercise in mind control.
We are the winners of Eurovision. We are.
I think We Are the Winners of Eurovision was so blatant that it was kind of brilliant.
They try to do that whole like act confident, and you know that confidence will rub off onto others.
Yes, this sharp-suited band of brothers tried to win over the audience with a mix of supreme confidence and just a smattering of unhinged dancing.
Check out the ball guy as well. He's doing kind of an early Lithuanian version of Harlem Shake.
British people wouldn't like that. A British version would have been, we're a bit shit, so give us 18th. And that actually probably is why that's probably the message that people read into most of our songs.
I like the idea that they've kind of thought, oh, there's some kind of Jedi mind trick. They'll never see through what we're trying to do here. It's like some Orwellian version of Eurovision Song Contest, where there's only one button, you can only choose them.
At the end of the day, no one likes a smart ass.
Did they win? No. Did they?
No, it didn't win, but it came a respectable 6th. Novelty songs may not have provided many winners, but it didn't stop one UK act from attempting a bit of light-hearted fun back in 2007. Unsurprisingly, it earned them a spot in our Hall of Shame. Yes, the next unlucky entrants in our Hall of Shame are, of course, Scooch. They had a track record of cheesy pop with a string of hit singles in the national charts. So they were upbeat about their chances of winning with a novelty song.
Obviously, our song, and it was very tongue-in-cheek, and it was fun, but we took what we were doing seriously. We knew we weren't the next Beatles.
Definitely not the next Beatles. In fact, Scooch were very nearly not even the next Eurovision entry that year.
The writing was kind of on the wall for Scooch right from the beginning, because on the night of making your mind up, Terry goes and announces the wrong winner.
Cindy! Scooch! But it is Scooch! It's Scooch!
I felt so sorry for Sir Terry that night, but almost worse for Fern, because she had to be the one to step in and go, no, Terry, it's Scooch. It's not Cindy. Awful.
Or, conspiracy theorists, maybe Terry was right and Cindy could have gone on to win.
Right or wrong, Scooch went to Eurovision that year, aiming to show Europe that we Brits can do camp Eurovision as well as the next man.
We thought, guess what? You don't think we take it seriously? Here we show we're laughing at ourselves. We're flying the flag. It's camp, it's funny, we can all sing it.
The image was great, wasn't it? Because you knew instantly with the uniforms on and the flying the flag, and they tried to milk every facet, starting with the uniform. So everyone loves a uniform, so they got that right.
Poor old Scooch, the British public thought it was funny. And yeah, it's hilarious till they show up on the day and then they have to do it. And it's really not funny in the hall.
It was a kind of postmodern entry with those sort of references. But if they'd have seen the Slovenian air hostesses, the drag queens who'd done the show a couple of years before, they might have known that they weren't really doing something all that original.
We were British Airways and they were EasyJet.
Uniforms aside, flying the flag was also remembered for the use of some rather unsubtle innuendo.
Would you like something to suck on, lads?
Not quite, Javine.
Would you like something to suck on?
Almost.
Can't do it. All right. Would you like something to suck on? Would you like something to suck on for me?
I think what she's trying to say is...
Wow, he said that in a quite aggressive way. Do you want something to suck on before landing? Okay. When are we landing?
That's a gag too far, surely. It certainly wouldn't wash with the nation's favourite children's TV show.
My favourite thing is when they went on Blue Peter, obviously kids are watching, so they couldn't do the thing about having something to suck on landing. So he had to go, "Would you like a sweet, sir?" And he looked really annoyed about having to change it.
Would you like a sweet, sir?
On the night, flying the flag failed to take off. So where exactly did it land in the end?
We came second.
To last.
But it's with little regret and for flagrant abuse of Eurovision novelty that Scooch take the next spot in our Hall of Shame.
I am honoured to be in the Eurovision Hall of Shame. How do you feel about it?
As am I.
Yeah, it's lovely, and I feel like we should have some sort of award.
We should.
But just to remind you, we did get the highest charting Eurovision single.
#1 in physical sales.
Number 5, highest charting Eurovision single since Katrina and the Waves.
How many years is that?
Over 15.
15.
Where did Jay Dewing get?
A high spot of 27 in the UK charts, actually. So, Scooch thought Life as a Trolley Dolly was great material for a Eurovision hit. It may seem strange, but it's got a lot weirder than that. Let's have a quick countdown of some of the most absurd song themes ever.
Danger, danger.
In Eurovision topics to avoid. What's at 5?
The Social Network song,
In 2012, San Marino entered a song celebrating the joys of a good poke.
The song that stuck in my head was all about the internet and email.
That was good, yeah.
It was really weird.
Are you ready for a little chat?
Originally titled The Facebook Song, Eurovision's Legal Eagles put a stop to that, and it was retitled The Social Network Song, as it contravened the contest's strict rules on product placement. This line of voiceover is brought to you by American Oil Glomerates plc.
We've seen a song about Facebook had to have its name changed with the lyric, "Click on your mouse if you want to come to my house."
Is that what she was saying? Was that an invitation that you like me, you press click, you come to my house? It's like she's on some other form of Facebook that I'm not aware of.
Surprisingly, they didn't do very well, but I remembered it.
Fasten your seatbelts, it's number 4. Airports. Pretty miserable, aren't they? Endless queues for check-in, overzealous security searches and the inevitable delayed departures. But, surprisingly, the inspiration for Ireland's 1984 Eurovision entry, Terminal 3.
Yeah, Terminal 3 flights on time. Admittedly, that is kind of rare in today's world.
Last night I heard him say, could I be waiting for she'd be all alone?
Airport terminals aren't that exciting.
No one wants to hear someone singing about Terminal.
Steven Spielberg did a whole film about an airport terminal and about the whimsy surrounding that, and that was as well.
Penguins are so cute. Everyone loves penguins. However, Luxembourg's 1980 entry, Papa Penguin, featured the world's only unlovable penguin.
Papa Penguins. I'm telling you, these people were dressed in penguins singing about penguins.
This was no cute little Pingu, but a creepy half-man, half-penguin mutant who jumped like a kangaroo and suffered from a touch of existential angst. Oh, cheer up, Papa, for beak's sake.
It's a bit strange, isn't it? What you sing about in Eurovision? Love, peace, no, a penguin.
At 2, just fill her up and grab me a Ginsters at the till.
The song's called Petrol, and translates exactly as it sounds.
So in 1980, the Turks decided to sing a song about petrol. I've no idea why.
Oh, lovely petrol, my dearest petrol, it is you I need. Petrol, oh, lovely petrol, my dearest petrol, And it goes on at some length after that.
Yes, Turkey's 1980 Eurovision entry was a celebration of filling up on the forecourt.
Da-da-da petrol, da-da-da petrol, da-da-da petrol. That's so good, really.
In the end, Turkey didn't get much mileage out of their petrol. It came in 15th, but it didn't stop Terry going all partridge about their lead singer.
Petrol, the Turkish entry. A lovely girl.
But our number one Eurovision theme to avoid features Europop with a sinister twist. Cue the Germans. Historical figure and genocidal killer Genghis Khan was the bizarrely chosen subject of this 1979 entry from Germany.
Singing about Genghis Khan is a little bit odd.
This toe tapper certainly brought to mind another Europop classic.
There's a certain rip-off element with Ra Ra Rasputin there, isn't there? It's also good, with the trousers, I think MC Hammer has a reason to sue. You
can't touch this. And it featured some classic Eurovision songwriting.
When you're writing a song about Genghis Khan, it would be remiss of you to omit the lyrics. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha.
So, in summary, singing about mass murderers is no laughing matter. But that isn't the only nugget of Eurovision wisdom we've passed on so far. Here's a recap of what else we've learnt so far on our quest to learn how to win Eurovision. Always remember to dress up, not down. It pays to have a gimmick, no matter how bizarre or over the top. Don't enter a novelty song because they're generally not that funny, Scooch. And avoid singing about planes, petrol, and penguins. Picking the right title for your song or your act is also something to be taken seriously at Eurovision. Number 1, it's got to make sense. Austria's entry from 1972 was Moth in the Wind.
Bleib nicht im Wald, Schmetterling.
Enough said. Or this similarly abstract effort from Estonia, The Sound of Necklace. What? You could just be plain rude. Here's a bit of Fanny from France. Stop giggling, that's her name. Or you could be downright crazy. Greece in '96 gave us We Wear Spring Clothes in the Wintertime. Yeah, take that, the system. Sometimes we even stay up late and watch telly. We don't even tell our parents. Yeah. The most important thing is not to set yourself up for a fall. Ireland reckoned they were born to sing in 1978. But they weren't born to win. So what about Britain? Would we fall into that boastful trap? Yeah. And it's our next entry into the Hall of Shame. It's Josh Dubovi's That Sounds Good to Me, a song that didn't sound good to anyone.
It's time to find out who your country needs. Sure!
When 19-year-old Essex boy Josh Dubovi heard these words back in 2010, he couldn't believe his luck.
What an opportunity to represent your country in front of millions of people. I mean, who's going to turn that down?
He'd gone through 10 years of graft in the stage call system and was plucked from the pack of other wannabes to be the UK's representative at that year's Eurovision in Oslo.
You have an incredible talent.
With That Sounds Good to Me, a song composed by 80s pop royalty Mike Stock and Pete Waterman, and a voice that Waterman described as perfect, how could Josh go wrong?
Sounds good to me!
So, with a set constructed from the finest Norwegian packing crates, our Josh takes to the stage and belts out that killer chorus. But unfortunately, not everyone was impressed.
He does look like an estate agent. The whole thing is completely bland. It's like having mashed potatoes with no butter for dinner.
So what exactly went wrong? Maybe it was the song. It couldn't be that the golden age of the Stock, Aitken and Waterman hit machine was actually before Josh was born. could it?
I think in the end, that song wasn't very good. Sorry, Pete Waterman, but I do feel it was a bit of a here's one in a drawer, here's one in a drawer.
The song was very, very poor. It was like something out of a Rick Astley album from the 80s. It didn't reflect anything remotely popular in the UK at the time.
Well, it was one of Pete Waterman's B-sides, wasn't it? It wasn't anything anyone's going to vote for.
But the song's called That Sounds Good to Me. Aren't you listening, people?
It certainly didn't sound good to anyone else on the night. It was certainly maybe a title that could have been improved.
The rest of Europe agreed, and despite the best efforts of the crowd, the UK came a crushing last on the night with just 10 points overall. But to be fair, most people realised that while Josh was no Kylie, he was stitched up like a kipper.
What happened with him is that he did his bit all right, and nobody else did their bit all right, and it all collapsed around him.
After taking a battering at Eurovision, alas, Josh Dubovy is no more. But don't worry, this Hall of Shamer has changed his identity and now trades under the moniker Josh James.
I have no regrets. I mean, there's only 56 other people that can say that they've represented the UK in the Eurovision. And for me, on my CV, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, here's something else for your CV, Josh. You're the final entrant in our Eurovision Hall of Shame. Along with Scooch, Blue, Engelbert Humperdinck, Gemini, Daz Sampson and Javine, they make up a not-so-magnificent 7 of Eurovision losers. May they not have died on stage in vain.
Right, well, this tip should grab your interest.
OK, I doubt that, but go on.
Well, it's about one of your top 3 things in life.
Oh, cricket?
No.
Midsummer Murders?
No.
Is it the old...
Yeah, that's right. It's about putting sex, or sax, into your performance in Eurovision to achieve the ultimate climax. And by that I mean win, not the other thing.
Oh. Gross.
Some say Bucks Fizz's skirt rip-off was the moment when the sexual floodgates burst open at Eurovision. And as the years have gone past, we've seen the competition get increasingly risque.
I'm sexy and I know it.
Sexy performers are 10 a penny now, but one man whose sexy performance stood out like a pair of fake boobs was Iceland's Paul Oskar. Remember him?
Of course I remember Paul Oskar. It's one of the greatest 3 minutes of my life.
Back in 1997, his performance set the bar for sexual content at Eurovision in a provocative display of leather-clad ladies and crotch rubbing. What would Sir Cliff say?
Been there, done that.
It was like really provocative. He was sat on this white couch with loads of girls with fishnet tights with hardly anything on.
It was the most astonishing thing I've ever seen. I was on my knees in my living room in front of the television, worshipping it. And it's still one of the greatest 3 minutes ever in the history of humanity, isn't it?
And leave it to those ever-efficient Germans to take it one step too far and bring an actual stripper on stage.
First of all, there was this German band on stage where the lead singer, I swear to God, looked just like Zoolander. But then, all of a sudden, he goes over to the keyboard player and they go, "And now, Dieter Von Teese!" And you're like, what?
Please welcome Dieter Von Teese!
And all of a sudden, you see Dieter Von Teese come out and she's got like this riding crop and this corset all laced up. And I think that was the most blatant going for the male sexual vote I have ever seen in Eurovision.
Eurovision has definitely got sexier over the years. In a couple of years, it'll be on pay-per-view at midnight.
Hello? How do you do?
How much? Do I vote afterwards? Hello?
Before we come to the end of our guide to winning Eurovision, perhaps it's time to remember those that came close as we celebrate the UK's long and illustrious history of coming second.
We always used to come in the top 5, and in particular second.
Britain are Eurovision's nearly men. 15 times we've come second. It's almost an achievement in its own right.
In a way, it's a fantastic place to come because you've done very well at Eurovision, but you don't have to host it next year.
Nice way of looking at it, but try telling that to poor old Scott Fitzgerald, Paul Calf lookalike, and victim of probably the UK's cruelest last-minute defeat in Eurovision history.
Scott Fitzgerald sang for the UK in 1988, and he lost in the very final vote when the Yugoslav jury gave Switzerland 7 points, putting Celine Dion ahead by 1 point and giving the UK nothing.
Finally, France.
It was right at the end. He had been leading more or less all the way, and he fell down at the final hurdle.
After his cruel loss, a deflated Scott appeared on British television, still clearly suffering from the effects of his trauma.
When the vote actually came in for Switzerland from Yugoslavia, everybody just went whoosh and disappeared, and I felt the loneliest man in the whole world. I really did. It was a strange. I've never had that sensation before. You know, it was like having a little bird in your hand and it just flew away. It was really the strangest thing. I'm all cried out, you know.
Oh, pull yourself together, Scott.
To buck this trend, next year we need to cast some inconsiderate lovers, because they never come second.
So we've come to the end of our guide on how to win Eurovision, and here's a summary of what we've learned. Avoid reggae, yodeling, calypso, and of course, rap. Displaying a bit of flesh can get you noticed, but it won't get you a win. Make a good first impression when you're performing, don't be out of tune, and avoid striking out at all costs.
We didn't deserve nil point.
Be wary of political voting and singing in made-up languages. Try singing about love or world peace. But if you're going to talk about politics, make it subtle. Don't be smutty. Always dress up, not down, and don't forget your gimmick. Definitely dance about a bit, but don't try and be funny, trust me. And remember, a big name doesn't mean big success. And make sure you pick the right song title.
That sounds good to me.
Expect to finish second. And last, but by no means least, make sure your song is a timeless classic.
Like a puppet on the screen.
Which leads us nicely onto the final stage of our How to Win Eurovision guide.
Well, I know we've kept you waiting longer than a German adjective.
Or as a German might say, glücklich ein Kuchenkirche.
Happy cake church.
It's time for the Abschlussprüfung step.
Final step.
This is fun. Of how to win Eurovision. It's time to show every doubting Bjorn, Benny and Annie Fried how great Eurovision can be in our How to Win Eurovision Ultimate Top 5. Greg, strap in, prepare to be amazed.
Hey.
That's not an amazed noise, Greg. Try again.
Hey.
Oh, sehr gut.
At 5, the first entry into our ultimate countdown are the hard rockers who became the most unlikely Eurovision winners you're ever likely to see.
Lordi's Hard Rock Hallelujah, for me, is one of the best Eurovision songs and performances of the last 50 years.
I thought they didn't want to win this contest, so they're going to enter the most rubbish thing.
It was a Norway success, however.
This group of latex monsters finally made amends for years of terrible Finnish entries. I'm looking at you, Ricky Saucer.
Okay.
You could tell he'd mastered everything and got the costumes down to a T.
They wore rubber continuously for the whole week. Imagine that smell.
Hard rock, hallelujah.
They scored an, at the time, all-time points record of 292 and received 12 points from no less than 8 countries.
You know, the whole gimmick pyro thing, which they pretty much introduced to Eurovision as well, that all went in their favour.
I think maybe with the Eurovision, there's a point where, like, every 15 years, the judges are like, all right, we'll just let some good people win, and then we'll go back to crap for the next 15 years.
Lordi absolutely deserved to be in there. They had everything.
And at 4, it's the baby-faced fiddler, Alexander Rybak.
So I remember there was a big buzz around this guy. Alexander Rybak's his name. He's got the violin on stage. And I just remember there being a big old hype about him at the time.
This classically trained musician found Eurovision fame back in 2009 with Fairy Tale.
I'm in love with a fairy tale.
a musician, but I think him standing there playing a fiddle was slightly more interesting and almost more gimmicky than just, you know, a band.
Like you say, oh, the guy with the fiddle, and there you go. Yeah. That's it, you know, he didn't need to do anything other than have a fiddle.
His performance amassed a mammoth 387 points, a points tally unlikely to ever be beaten.
Every day we started fighting. Every night we felt...
There's something quite cocky about him. It is a face you want to punch. But a really catchy song.
50 million hits he's had on YouTube, different to Scooch. We just want to hit them 50 million times.
In at number 3, a lady who went on to become one of the biggest selling solo artists of all time, Celine Dion.
Well, Celine Dion. Do you think Eurovision's on her CV? Do you think it's still there?
Who knew when she was representing Switzerland, singing in French, that she'd become this phenomenon?
Yes, before she went on to titanic success, the younger Miss Dion gained a memorable victory for Switzerland in 1988. But although she looked great, her image nearly proved to be her hidden iceberg.
She should have won that night by a landslide. But because she looked so weird, because she had that puffball skirt, she nearly lost the contest.
Despite looking like a supply teacher on a hen night, she still had the voice.
Celine Dion does look like somebody else. In fact, maybe it is somebody else. We can never be sure.
But just think about it. Eurovision's given us Celine Dion, and without her, we wouldn't have had the anthemic My Heart Will Go On. Oh, that's rubbish, isn't it? Yeah, thanks for nothing, Eurovision. And only just being pipped to the top spot at number 2,
Love, shed light.
Katrina and the Waves.
My heart, let the love.
I love Katrina and the Waves, Love Shine a Light, because that was a great year. We won, and that was the last time we did it.
I don't think we had really an expectation of victory that year. You know, everyone just thought, oh, it's Katrina and the Waves, because we hadn't won for a long time.
Katrina and the Waves were no strangers to success. In the 80s, they rode high in the charts with this classic.
Everyone remembered Walking on Sunshine, global hit, so that was in her favour.
But the band's true legacy will always be their Eurovision victory that night in Ireland.
It was an awesome song. It's a catchy song. It's one of the few that I still have in my head, you know. I'm not going to sing it now, but it speaks to me.
And she's just a pro, Katrina. She knows what she's doing. She worked the stage.
Katrina was a kind of poppy Suzi Quatro.
I was just upset when I realised that she was American.
And nothing epitomises the special relationship between the US and the UK like this timeless hit.
Once again, in times of dire need, we call upon the Americans to fly over and save the day.
But we had to do it, you know. You gonna blame us for that?
Every corner of our hearts.
So, Greg, can you guess what the How to Win Eurovision ultimate number 1 is?
Give me a clue.
Well, Mamma Mia. Would you believe it? We sent out an SOS for a Eurovision hit, and those dancing queens took a chance, made a lot of money.
Got it. Mumford and Sons.
What? No, they've not even been in Eurovision. If I were to say, thank you for the music, it is, of course,
Adele. Adele?
No, Greg, no, it's ABBA.
ABBA? Not heard of... Is that like IKEA?
Oh, my God.
Telling a story of hopeless surrender to love, we've somewhat predictably surrendered to the charms of ABBA's seminal 1974 hit, Waterloo, and made it our ultimate Eurovision winner.
In the end, you've got to say that ABBA are the best winners ever, because they're the best winners ever.
But things could have been a lot different. The previous year, they entered a song in Swedish and failed to even qualify for the final. Luckily, they saw sense and entered a song in English the following year. Otherwise, this slightly dreary Italian ballad would have been our winner. Mamma mia! So what makes Waterloo such a classic?
They did a little jaunty dance. They looked happy, they had the costumes, guitar, shaped like a star.
Yes, it's got the outfits, the gimmicks, the clever songwriting, and of course, the killer chorus.
Waterloo, I was defeated, you won the war. Waterloo, couldn't escape if I wanted to. Waterloo, finally facing my Waterloo.
ABBA were fully deserving of that win, and then after that just went on to dominate the world with hit after hit, globally, everywhere.
ABBA went on to sell over 370 million albums worldwide. That's a full 370 million more than Scooch and Gemini combined.
Yeah.
Thank you for the music.
ABBA's musical legacy now spans the world of theatre and cinema and looks set to live on in our hearts for another 40 years to come. So for this we say, thank you, ABBA, for the music.
In the end, you just can't argue with, the genius of ABBA.
Well, there it is, Greg. I've tried to show you everything that was great about the Eurovision, but I've failed to convince you that we can win it. I guess you won't be coming to my Eurovision party.
Yeah, you're right. Eurovision is complete and utter rubbish, honest.
I give up.
But you know what? It may be full of slightly strange camp Europeans. It may be the last resort for the Austrian fashion industry. It might be full of songs that have absolutely no meaning. It may feature people like Gemini and Engelbert Humperdinck. It might be die-hard proof that our fellow Europeans hate us, and it may have scarred Sir Terry forever. But where else would I see a singing transvestite air steward? Where else could I hear the rap of track shitters? You know what, Russell? We may not win Eurovision this year, or next year, or any years. But you know what? I don't care. You get the cheesy puffs. I'll get the Vimto and the poppers.
Poppers! Anus in the air!
Party poppers.
Hi, poppers.
And let's go back to yours for the best Eurovision party the world has ever seen.
Yeah, Rule Britannia.
See? Let's go.
Greg, how come you got the big long speech right at the end of the show?
Oh, just a better agent, mate.
All right.
See you later.
See you.